Gillian and I are talking in this one-on-one about recent events in the Middle East, particularly Lebanon, where she and her husband lived and have gone back. John, let me ask you this. The Israelis, as far as I remember, have gone 4 miles into Lebanon to create what they're calling a buffer zone. In all of this, what is your opinion of the Hezbollah and what role they seem to be playing?
Hezbollah did not exist until 1982. They were a direct result of the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. The Israelis killed tens of thousands of people in southern Lebanon during that occupation.
Now that was before the Civil War?
No, this is after this. This is part of the Civil War.
Okay.
This is from 1980. They devastated the south. And when Hezbollah went in really as a social service organization. They are not anti-Jewish. I repeat that. They are not anti-Jewish. Mm-hmm. They are one of the few organized groups that will support the Palestinians in the terrible position that they are expected to endure and have been forced to live in a depleted economy and in a world that is ignoring them.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what about? There's many Christians in southern Lebanon. The Christian militia, the Phalange party, are actually were pretty friendly with Israel.
Absolutely. In fact, this is appalling, but in 1982, the Christian Phalange linked forces with Ariel Sharon and made, under Sharon's personal supervision, they went in one Saturday evening, 1982, and massacred. And massacre is the word. Women, children, old people, and a few of the men in the Shatila and Sabra refugee camps in southern Beirut. And the world did very little to wrap Israel's knuckles over this. The Christian Phalange is not a nice group of people, frankly. They based their party on the Franco fascist regime in the 30s. So they are no friend, on the whole, of many of the Lebanese people. Mm-hmm.
And so what you're doing here in America is you're trying to raise the consciousness, actually. And I have great admiration for what you're doing because you're doing something that I assume mostly by yourself.
This is, yes, very much by myself.
What kind of reactions have you gotten?
I get some support. I'm demonstrating for a couple of hours. I've done it for 7 consecutive mornings.
We sit in America and we read the papers and we think certain things, and I think we're very predisposed toward what we read. Based on your experience and your feelings about what's going on, do you feel that the American press covers this situation fairly?
No, I don't. Especially for people who are hearing it on Fox News, which is very slanted to Israel. CNN promotes the idea that they tell the truth. Well, they do tell the truth for some of Israel. They're not really telling the truth for Lebanon. There are better sources. I really urge people to either listen to BBC America, which is better, BBC World News, or some of the international press. There is very little coverage of international news stations in this country, and that is unfortunate.
So
even Israel gets better, more independent coverage than the American people do. There is more printing of opposing views in the Israeli press than you will hear in this country.
I wanted to get back to this, but we had talked about Hezbollah before. And you had mentioned something about the vilification of Hezbollah.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
I feel that the administration in this country is really adding to the situation, spiraling out of control. There's this great vilification of the Hezbollah people. They are always labeled as terrorists. They have never, despite what Israel says, they have never attacked Israel. They have not attacked the northern border. It is Israel who has sent rockets over into southern Lebanon on almost a daily basis. And this is documented in daily UN reports of the situation.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, that is...
I was in Tyre in 2004, and I saw the Israeli rockets coming over and exploding. And the local people shrugged their shoulders and says, this happens daily. I was in Beirut in July of 2004, and my husband was there last year. And the Israeli jet fighters come over with no provocation from the Lebanese army or air force, which is pretty weak. And they break the sonic boom. And it's a reminder to people as to who is boss. It's bullying.
Very eye-opening and mind-opening, and I hope people will go to some of the links that we're going to put on the site. And
Great.
I admire you for your courage and your perseverance.
I can't go back to Lebanon and look the Lebanese in the face.